Can you actually buy a full VR headset with controllers for under $100? Not like one of those cardboard things that you just kind of slide your phone into, but a real VR experience. Well, I've picked out 5 different systems that you can purchase right now, like today, for under $100 to get yourself into VR if you're on a budget. Stick around for this one because we're going to talk about the specs of each unit, how they stack up against each other, and where you can buy them if you want to. Alright guys, welcome back to Fix My Oculus. Today we're going to be diving into 5 VR headsets you can buy right now today for $100 or less and get yourself into VR on a budget. And I'm not talking about the throwaway stuff either. I'm talking about legit VR headsets only. We've got some standalone headsets on this list, some PCVR setups, and even one surprise pick that I'll bet you didn't know about, and if you did, you totally forgot about it, as well as some honorable mentions. And while I've got you here, if you are into VR hardware and you want to learn more about them, how to take care of them, maybe even how to repair them, do consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out, helps the channel grow, and hopefully it helps you out too. All right, so at number 5. At number 5, we have the original PlayStation VR. And this one's not really a surprising pick, I think, for a lot of people on this list. It's been around for a little while, and the specs don't stack up that great against modern headsets, but people still use them. This unit was released in 2016. It has a retail price, or had a retail price, of $299 with the controllers and the camera. It uses a 5.7-inch OLED screen. The resolution on that screen ends up being about 960 by 1080 per eye, and the refresh rate is either 90 or 120 hertz depending on what you're using it for. Now the tracking is not inside-out tracking. It's done with the little Sony camera that comes with it, so you do have that, and sometimes there are obstruction issues with that. But you can use the PlayStation Move controllers or the DualShock 4 controller depending on the application. But here's the thing, this headset used to retail for $399, so you know, not a cheap headset. And then you look at what the prices are today, and just scrolling on eBay, there's a full kit for $150, $185, and then here's the one that I was looking at earlier, $85 or best offer for a pre-owned PSVR. Here's another one, $105 or best offer, so that one could probably go for under $100, $100 or best offer, free delivery, so no shipping costs, even though it's coming from Japan. Here's another one, $106.99 or best offer. Here's another one, headset, controllers, and connection cable for $62.99. I imagine that it comes with the camera, but maybe not. Sony PlayStation VR headset white complete in box for $85 plus $645 delivery. So yeah, you can get one of these easily for $100 with everything that you need. The caveat here is that you do need a PlayStation. You got to have either the PS4 or the PS5 with the adapter, and then you're kind of locked into Sony's game library. But if you like Sony's game library and you already have a PlayStation and you're just looking to get into VR, you can get into VR for well under $100 in most cases. Moving on to number 4. At number 4, I've got the HTC Vive Focus Plus. This one is kind of a surprise on the list. Just while I was hunting around looking for VR headsets that you could purchase for under $100, this one jumped out at me because I think it's not something that I think about a lot, and I don't think it's something that anybody else thinks about either. So let's take a look at the specs here. This headset originally retailed for $799 with the controllers. It has the 2 AMOLED displays, and you get 1440 by 1600 per eye with a 75 hertz refresh rate. It does have the inside-out tracking and the motion controllers. I've not played with them, but a lot of the Vive controllers that I have played with in the past are pretty nice. And they're durable. And then it runs a standalone Android-based system, so, you know, just like a lot of VR headsets. Now, this thing wasn't made for gaming, at least not initially. It was mostly designed for enterprise use, so think education, medical applications, you know, technological applications, like that's what it was designed for. But the thing is it never really took off, and so now there's a bunch of these that you could just pick up for like $99. Taking a look at the prices here, if I go on eBay, I'm seeing, you know, just right out the gate, $106.28 or best offer. You can get that for under $100. $109 or best offer, so you can get that for $100. Here's $94.93. Buy it now, free delivery, free returns. $99. Buy it now, free delivery, free returns. So these are just going for, you know, under $100 all day, every day, easy to pick up. If you're looking to get into a headset and you don't mind using the Vive port or whatever HTC is calling it now, I think it's still the Vive port, but whatever HTC is calling it now, and you're cool with that, or you can just use it for PCVR, it's a good little starter headset for you. Okay, now we're going to start getting into more mainstream territory here. The next one I've got on my list is a PCVR headset. It was designed as a PCVR headset, and I think in the opinions of a lot of people that own them, that I've talked to about them, they still hold up very, very well today, just as PCVR headsets. So number 3 on the list, I've got the Oculus Rift S. This headset kind of marked the end of the PC-only era for Oculus, right before they kind of turned the whole market around and went full standalone for all of the Oculus/Meta products that we've come to know and love. It was originally released in 2019 and retailed for $399, and it has a single LCD panel with a resolution of 1280 by 1440 per eye. And then it looks like the refresh rate is about 80 hertz. That's the cap on it. It's got the 2nd generation Oculus Touch controllers, so the ones that came with the Quest 1 as well are the same controller. I'm not going to argue with people in the comments about that, but it's true. You can just use them interchangeably. And then if we're talking about pricing, what do they go for today? So looking at it on eBay today, of course, you do have people who, want more money for it. There's, $179.99. But here we go. Oculus Rift S, complete headset, controllers, box, documentation, $100 or best offer. You got a little bit of a delivery fee there. But we scroll down a little bit here. And what do we find? There's one that says read on it. So maybe not that one. It's probably a bad cable or something. If I ever see things go wrong with the Rift S's, it's almost always the cable. These headsets seem to be extremely durable. We hardly ever do repairs on them. Most of the inquiries that we get here is, can you fix my cable? So if you're going to have a problem with it, it's going to be the cable. And this is just listings that I'm pulling up right now. If you're patient, more listings come up over time, I assure you. So why is it so high on the list? Because the Rift S really gives you the full PCVR experience, and you don't need base stations or sensors or cameras or anything. It is plug and play. You can use Oculus's app, or you can use Steam VR, which is great. But here's the thing to remember. Meta did discontinue these a while ago, and they're no longer providing updates for those, so I definitely wouldn't expect updates for them. But if you're just getting into VR and you need a good PCVR headset, and that is what you want to do, I want to play PCVR, I want to play tethered, the Rift S is a good route to go. All right, back to the standalone headsets. And I think this next one is still surprisingly relevant, actually. Coming in at number 2, I've got the Oculus Quest. The original, the Quest 1. Before the Quest 2, there was the Quest 1. Before we had white, we had black. And, this headset holds up actually pretty well. Let's see, it was released in 2019, and it retailed for $399 with the controllers. And that was for the 64GB model. The 128GB model was $499. And then this seems to surprise a lot of people who aren't familiar with the unit, but you've got 2 OLED panels. So you've got the dual OLED displays in the Quest 1. And those displays have a resolution of 1440 by 1600 per eye with a refresh rate of 72 hertz. It does have inside-out tracking, so you can play it without having to plug it into a PC, or you can plug it up and use it for PCVR, just like you would do with the Quest 2. And it comes with those same 2nd generation Oculus Touch controllers that came with the Rift S, so which a lot of people, again, seem to really love. And if you've played them before, a lot of people think that those were more comfortable than the controllers that we have today for a lot of the Meta products. Like, I don't want to call it a cult, but they definitely have a following. There are people who are still reaching out to us on, at least a weekly basis to see if we will repair their Quest 1 controllers because they love them. And even though it's not receiving updates from Meta anymore, kind of like the Rift S, it is still fully functional. You can still use it, you can still play it, and especially if your primary application is PCVR, it's an easy way to jump into PCVR or replace a PCVR headset if you're in a pinch and you're on a budget. Going through some quick pricing really quick. If we look back at eBay, we've got there's a Quest 1 128 version for $109.95 with the buy it now, but let's see if we can find something even better here. I've got the Quest 1 64GB complete in box for $85 or best offer. We've got the Quest 1 128 for $80, buy it now with $13 delivery fee. These are all over the place. You can get these for under $100 basically all day, any day of the week. So if you're looking for something that's under $100 and you like the Meta store, you like those applications, that is your jam, and you're okay with not getting the updates, maybe you can sideload things and you're a little tech savvy. Because, people still play on these things. This is another unit that, just like the Quest 1 controllers and the Rift S's, I still get requests about these units all the time. There's still people out there finding the utility for them, even though they don't get updates, which is great. I hate the idea that people just throw things away because they're not getting supported anymore. We got to find ways to utilize those things. All right, before we get to the number one headset, I do want to throw in two honorable mentions here. They didn't quite make the list, but depending on your needs, they might be worth knowing about. So I wanted to put them on here anyway. Honorable mention number one, we've got the Oculus Go. You can pick one of these units up for like 40 or 50 bucks. They're super inexpensive. I mean, some of these things I've got $54.99. There's one for $49.99, $32.99, $80. I mean, they're all over the map, but you can get them for 45, 50 bucks all day, every day. The Oculus Go originally only retailed for about 199 bucks in 2018, and it's got the single panel LCD. It gets about 1280 by 1440 per eye, and it's got a 60 hertz refresh rate. It does not have really like good VR controllers. It's not really meant for that. It's better for theater experiences and entertainment sort of things like that. The controller that comes with it is more like a remote than a controller like what we're familiar with playing games and stuff. But for what it's used for, most people would agree, I think, that it gets the job done. The headset is kind of limited. It doesn't have the inside-out tracking. It doesn't have any tracking at all, really. It's just based on movement. So you recenter yourself. It's basically like having your Quest in travel mode, or you know, where it doesn't track itself, and you just kind of recenter it and control it that way. So you can't really play games in it. Better for TV and, you know, entertainment things. Not really good for games. Honestly, we call it a VR headset, but it is more of a media viewer. You know, it's hard to include this on the list just because the VR applications for it are so limited. You know, obviously there's no mixed reality applications. You can't play games on it. So it's going to be, you can watch YouTube or Netflix, maybe have a VR theater, but just don't expect any sort of real interactive experiences out of it. Honorable mention number two is the HP Reverb G2, and you can pick these up for about $85 to $100 right now. Like some of the other headsets on this list, they're kind of all over the map. There's some people that still want, like, you know, a lot of money for them, but here's one right there, $100 or best offer. You can pick up a HP Reverb G2, no problem. 110. Let's see. There's one right there. HP Reverb G2 VR headset and controllers, 80 bucks or best offer. Kind of a high delivery fee. I don't know what's up with that, but I would say most days, you know, maybe there's a little patience involved, but most days you can pick one of these up for $100 or less. These headsets did come out in 2020, and they originally retailed for $599 with the controllers. They've got the two LCD panels, and the resolution on these is actually surprisingly high for a headset that came out in 2020. It was 2160 by 2160 per eye with a 90 hertz refresh rate. Here's the thing to know about the G2 though. You have to have Windows Mixed Reality support in order to use it, and Windows 11 no longer has Windows Mixed Reality. So unless you're willing to stay on Windows 10, or you've got the Windows 11, it's 24H2 according to my notes here. Windows 11 24H2. So unless you're willing to stay on Windows 10 or Windows 11 24H2, you're not going to be able to use this headset. And Windows 11 24H2 has an end of life of November of this year. So if you're looking at buying this headset because you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is going to be great for my racing sim, or it's going to be great for my PCVR headset, just know that it is coming to an end. So that's why it didn't make the list, because you buy this headset today, maybe you get 5 or 6 more months out of it, and then that's that. I'm sure that people will find workarounds for that. I'm sure that there's going to be a whole community of dedicated G2 people who really, you know, go out of their way to make it work somehow. But at least for right now, it's looking like the end of life for the G2 is certifiably November of 2025, unfortunately, because it is a nice headset. And finally, number one on the list, maybe this surprises you, maybe it doesn't, it's the Oculus Quest 2. I don't know that anybody that's watching really needs the whole tech spec rundown, but they did launch in 2020. They originally retailed for $299. That was the 64 gigabyte model, and then the 128 and the 256 for more. And, you know, there was a lot of price shuffling that went around with the Quest 2 at the time and like over its lifespan. So I don't want to get into all that, but you do have the single panel LCD. You've got the 1832 by 1920 per eye, and then up to 120 hertz refresh rate. And you got the 3rd generation controllers. So, you know, these ones. It's got the inside out tracking, so of course you don't need the base stations, the cameras, and it's the most popular VR headset of all time. So you all know what I'm talking about. Plus, even though the headset is discontinued, it is still getting support from Meta. So you can still get updates. You can still get the latest games. You can't get the games that are for the Quest 3 and the 3S because those headsets have a better processor than the Quest 2 does. But you can still update the games that you already have on the Quest 2, which is great. If we're looking at pricing, just kind of jumping around here. So this one's kind of a patience thing because the good deals come up and then they go away because people snatch them up. But looking at sold listings, like recently sold listings, of course, this one here at the top, that's parts only, parts only, parts only. But here we go. Oculus Quest 2, 64 gigabytes, original box, controllers tested and working, $99 their best offer. $20 delivery, but you know, if it was $99 best offer, you know, most of the time those best offers are pretty negotiable. Oculus Quest 2, 64 gigabytes went for $65.66. All right, let's look around here. What do we got? This one's just a headset. This one came with controllers. Okay, 64 gigabyte plus controllers, $100. Buy it now. So yeah, you can get these for $100 or less. I wouldn't say all day, every day. I wouldn't say that, you know, you're just going to be able to pop on eBay and buy one. But I would say if you're patient and you're willing to look around and just kind of hang in there, you're really on a budget and you want a Quest 2, you can find one for under $100 pretty easily. So that's it. That's my list. Those are my recommendations. If you're looking to get a headset for less than $100, now you've got some options and you know where to get them and you know what you should be paying or what is too much to pay for one of these headsets, because I wouldn't pay any more than $100 for any of those. Maybe the Quest 2, depending on the storage size and the condition. If it was really good, you know, then you could probably pay a little bit more for that, but you don't have to. So let me know in the comments which one you would grab, and if I missed anything. I'm sure that there is probably some diamond in the rough, some jewel out there that I'm just not aware of or not familiar with. And if you've picked one of those up for under $100, drop me a comment and let me know. I'm really always curious to know what the good headsets are for the good deals out there. And don't forget, if you have a headset that is broken or missing parts, or you need help with your broken headset or your controllers, you can always check out our website, fixmyoculus.com. We've got parts, we've got tools, we've got repair tutorials here on our YouTube page and on TikTok. If you need help with your VR headset or you want to learn more about how to take care of it, you can always hit us up on our website, fixmyoculus.com. If you stuck around this long, please do consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out and helps us grow and hopefully helps us provide more information to other people out there who are curious about VR hardware. But that's all I got for you guys today. We'll see you on the next one.